So here she is, kids. AKRAPOVIC's headers for the R1300 GS. So I'm gonna do a little unboxing. We're gonna weigh this sucker. So let's start unboxing. So once I remove the WRS packaging, this is what the box looks like. God, I love the look of these boxes. When they come in, I get so happy. But here's genuine, the hologram sticker for genuine AKRAPOVIC product. You have all this jazz for the R1300 and something in Italian or something. Can't read it. But there it is, made in Slovenia. If it could focus, there you have it. So let's open her up. So I've got the box open. Looks like this is some kind of white pipe. Got the springs. All right. Instruction manual. Don't need that. Actually, maybe I do. I'll take that back. I need these papers. But another little white pipe. Heat shield. It's the carbon fiber AKRAPOVIC heat shield. Muffler clamp. So it comes with basically everything you need as replacement parts, I guess. And here's the big boy. So let's get this box out of the way. Is there anything else in here? Just a WRS keychain. Got about a million of them now since I order everything from WRS. Okay, let's see what this entails. Guys, to be honest with you, this thing is so light already. Once we put it on the scale and compare it to the OEM headers, which are a monstrosity and weigh crazy. I mean, this is, could literally move it around with one hand. I could swing it easy. See this is what this looks like. Here she is. Okay. Yeah, she's super light. Look at this. Oh, baby. So for one sensor, and the other sensors are on those white pipes. But this is not technically considered a muffler. This is more like a sound dampening system. So it's not as raspy as like the Arrows or some of the other ones that are out there. A couple other ones that are out there. This just makes it, from what I understand, deeper, less raspy. So it's not that annoying, obnoxious machine gun sound that comes out of a boxer engine. So this helps it give it a better drone, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, just a better overall deeper sound, deeper growl. Super light, just throwing it around. So it should save about probably 10 pounds off the old system. So there's that. Let's open these bad boys up. Get this open. There we go. Very well packaged. Again, weighs next to nothing. Sure. This one goes on this side. And we'll open up this side. We got the springs. Whoa. Don't want to drop that. At least not yet. It is very well packaged, guys. So Nothing to worry about in terms of it being damaged on arrival, I guess. Unless your delivery driver is just an animal. And there's the other side. Ooh, I cannot wait to get this on. Oh, so you gotta finagle this a little bit, but you guys catch the drift. I'm gonna get this up a little bit. Good tolerances, good fit. Pop it out a little bit. Boom, boom. There you have it. Full system. All right, so I grabbed my wife's trusty kitchen scale, which she hates doing, or hates me doing, because that's where she measures our food and all that kind of jazz. And here I am putting car parts on and motorcycle parts and all kinds of other work stuff. Titanium, exotic materials, you know, the usual. So I got the whole system up on the scale, including the carbon fiber heat shield, springs, muffler clamp, and the system comes to 6 pounds, 10 ounces. So pretty light. Again, you could swing this whole thing. Once I put it all together, I could have swung it with one hand and just kind of maneuvered it with one hand. And I can't wait to see what the OEM headers weigh in at. But from what I understand, they are very heavy. Before you guys would install it, you might want to get some really cheap insurance, which are brand new exhaust port gaskets. These are the part numbers, guys. 18519445093. You need 2 of them, obviously, for each cylinder. They're like 18 bucks each. It's cheap insurance. Just buy it. Yeah, you could probably get away with your stock ones if you don't have too many miles on it, or stock ones. I meant the older ones that are already on there. But for 18 bucks, it's just safer and easier to go with these. So make sure if you guys are switching out your headers, pick up a couple of these at your local dealership. I mounted everything together. You put a little bit of this ceramic paste. It's an anti-seize grease, and all you got to do is insert it on the female end and on the interior, and just a little bit of a thin coat here, and here, right where all the connection points are. And that's practically it. I might put a little bit just around here, just to keep on the ports, just to keep these gaskets in place, just like a little dab, but it's not necessary. So yeah, that's what the instructions said. Grease here, anti-seize grease here, anti-seize grease there. And that's basically it. So these are now ready to be mounted. What I'm going to do after I handle all of it is I'm going to clean it with like a parts cleaner. Honestly, the spray away stuff works. I literally use it for everything, and it just works great. No ammonia or any of that kind of jazz. But anyways, yeah, I'm going to start mounting them up. We're going to be adding this to the servo motor to remove all the cables, and then be able to put the servo motor back in its place without the cables. And that is it. It also includes some bolt sealant, right? So basically some blue Loctite for the bolts. And that is it. Stay tuned. All right, so first step is to remove. I'm going to remove the heat shield, right? That's going to be discarded. Won't be using it again because it comes with a AKRAPOVIC heat shield. So this will probably go for sale if anybody wants it, or I might just hold on to it. You got to remove these, the heel protectors, because you got to get to the bolt that holds the existing headers. And then you got to remove this side panel, just because you need to get to the servo motor and where my heel tech eliminator is as well. And that's it. And then just remove the opposite side right here for the heel protectors. This one could stay on because it's got nothing to do with the servo. Also, don't forget, you got to remove the skid plate. So it's just 4 bolts, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear on the bottom. And then we're able to start pulling this off. All right, first things first, we got to remove the muffler. clamp. All right, and then remove the hanger. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is use one of my small jacks to help support the stock muffler and the AKRAPOVIC one once I start unbolting everything so it just doesn't drop to the ground and stuff. So the instructions say to help support it. So just putting a jack under there just to kind of help as I'm unbolting for the headers not to keep moving around on me. So when you remove the silencer, it comes with the Akra headers come with a new clamp because this is attached to it in order to put the heat shield on, the back end of the heat shield. So what we want to do is make sure when you're installing it to where this section right here looks like this. It's angled backwards. So the bolt or the nut that you're going to be clamping down on is on the outside, and then this looks up. There's some notches right here where it goes, so it won't move. But yeah, you're gonna have to replace the clamp of your OEM muffler or the aftermarket Akras or whatever other exhaust or silencer you have with this new clamp. All right. Next step is to unscrew these nuts so we can remove the cables off of the headers. So there's unscrew one of them and the second one. So once you have these unscrewed, you just pull them out. Here are the cables, and then they will pop out of their little there we go. All right, there you have it. Now the headers are free of the cables. We'll be removing those cables anyways. Next, you just got to remove the Lambda sensors, which I've already unscrewed. You just got to rotate them out on both sides of the motorcycle. All right, once you remove the Lambda sensors from both sides of the exhaust ports, you remove this bolt right in here that holds the catalytic converter of the headers right in here. Pull them out. That's what the screw looks like. Doesn't look like they use any Loctite, but Akra's instructions say to use a little bit of Loctite on some of these bolts. So right now the whole thing is movable. I've removed the bolts or the nuts off the exhaust ports, and now I'm going to drop it a little bit with my jack and find the other Lambda sensor back here in order to remove it. It's right in there. So unscrew that and we're good to go. All right, here she is on the ground. Again, remove the cables from the servo. You remove this bolt right here on each side. The bolts look like this. Once those come off, it starts to kind of loosen up. Make sure you support it with the jack. So I popped in the new gaskets. So they stay on pretty tight. They have this little section right here where it kind of grips them. So that's all you got to do. That's how the left side or the left arm side of the bike looks like. Here are the old ones. They look pretty new. There's no deformation or anything like that. But it's cheap insurance. They're 17 bucks each. I think they're worth it. Could you get away with your original ones? If you have low miles on the bike, sure, probably, but you're doing the job anyways, guys. So 17 bucks each. Just get them done. All right, so I removed it. That's what the bike looks like without anything on there. Looks a lot meaner, looks a lot slimmer, don't you think? Yeah. So anyways, here's this monstrosity. And here's my wife's trusty scale for the kitchen. She gave me a dirty look when I pulled it back out. So I can't even lift this it's hard to lift with one hand, unlike the Akras. So remember, the Akras were 6 pounds, 10 ounces. So a little bit, like around 6.5 pounds. These are 13 pounds, 10 ounces. So basically 7 pounds heavier. That's pretty substantial for headers. Not only do you get the performance out of the Akra headers, but also a ton of weight savings. So about 7 pounds of weight savings, almost exactly 7 pounds of weight savings. So there you have it. 6.5 pounds versus 13.5 pounds. Next up, remove the servo motor by unscrewing this bad boy. All right. Now that the exhaust gaskets are on the studs and everything's been removed, the servo's been removed, it's time to put these bad boys on. Look at this. I could pick this up with one hand. 6 pounds versus the 13. So we're going to be very gentle with them, and I will wash them off or clean them off. Make sure, that's why I'm wearing gloves, make sure I don't leave any fingerprints or any markings on it, because once they get burned on, there's no removing them, or it's very hard to, as they turn blue. All right, I put the Akras on the ports, connected the Lambda sensors. I gotta tighten them up though on both sides. And now I gotta torque the nuts on the exhaust studs at 22 Newton meters and torque it. All right, so once you mount it, the one thing I learned is you have to relocate the Lambda sensor in the rear to make it long enough to fit. Problem is, it's zip tied all the way in there. So what you gotta do, it's a little finicky and a pain in the butt, but you gotta go to the other side, so it looks like, of the bike. And there's a zip tie right there. You see them. You gotta cut that off in order for the wire to be long enough. So it's a pain in the butt, but I'm kind of learning as I go. It's not as easy as the instructions make it seem to be. So just an FYI. So once you cut that zip tie off that I showed you, now it's long enough. And there you have it. So instructions say to reroute it. You thinking it's easy, it's not. You got to get in there and cut a couple of zip ties, and it'll make it long enough. All right. So the Lambda sensor in the rear has been installed. 34 Newton meters is the torque settings that Akra tells you to do. In the front, they are 39 Newton meters for the Lambda sensors. Again, as I mentioned, 22 Newton meters for the exhaust bolts, or the nuts. And there you have it. She's on, man, and she looks great. Can't wait to blue this, to get this naturally blue as I ride her. But next step now is to put on the silencer. All right, now I just got to align her and bolt her in. But everything seems to fit perfectly, tight tolerances. Never had an issue with having to align both sides of the exhaust ports or this bolt right here in the middle. Nothing. So it's been very, very easy installing it. The only issue again was that Lambda rear sensor having to be rerouted, having to cut a couple zip ties in there. All right, tightened her up, put her on, and now I'm going to put on the heat shield. All right, heat shield's on. A lot smaller than the other one. Looks really good. Matches the end cap of the AKRAPOVIC. I am now wiping everything down with WD-40, all the pipes, just because that's what AKRAPOVIC recommended. Cleans everything, all the fingerprints off, makes it a nice little, makes it really smooth and clean, no fingerprints, no debris, no nothing that could cake on when the bike runs hot. And you could already see that it's turned blue on the actual pipe, on the silencer. So all of this is supposedly going to turn blue as well. So you'll see that I've cleaned everything off. There's no markings on it, no fingerprints, no nothing, now that I've handled it. And I'm going to do the other side and then put on the skid plate. All right, everything is bolted on, skid plate's on, side panels are on, heel protectors are on, lots of carbon fiber, AKRAPOVIC carbon fiber heat shield. Everything's ready to go, guys. So it took me about, I'd say about an hour and 15 minutes to get all of it in. Obviously been having to deal with the, making a video as well. So about an hour and a half should about do it. So you guys ready to hear this thing? All right, so let's do a sound comparison. This is obviously AKRAPOVIC aftermarket exhaust or silencer with the stock OEM headers. It does have the Heel Tech servo eliminator that I've mounted right here, right? So the valve, the flapper always remains open. So it does have a deeper, a little bit more of a growl sound to a stock, like a fully stock one without the eliminator. But this is what it's going to sound like stock versus when I put on the AKRAPOVIC headers. Here's a cold start. The sound on YouTube and on this video are not going to do it justice. Take my word for it, they are deep. It is very raspy. It's loud. It's not too obnoxious right now, but on the cold start was super loud. But you will see that it's a different bike. down below. Let me know what you guys think. I love it. Couldn't wait for it. I'm happy I bought them. I can't wait to rip this up the canyons. Finally, the bike is getting to where I want it to be. Next stop is getting rid of these knobbies and putting on the Road 6s, and that's happening tomorrow actually. So stay tuned for another video on those. Thanks again for subscribing to the channel, guys. Talk to you soon.